I started Florida Virtual Bookkeeper in 2016. Before then, I had been a corporate bookkeeper, so I was really good at the technical stuff, knew nothing about pricing. I didn't need to. When I officially hung my shingle in 2016, that's when I realized I really do not know how to be a bookkeeping business owner. So I thought I would just do what my previous tax accountant that I collaborated with did, charge by the hour. But because I was a new business owner, marketing is not really my thing, I started to undercharge myself from the very beginning. And I did everything that Mark says you should not do, I did when I started. So I used to advertise on Craigslist, offering to price match. Can you believe that? In my website, I used to use keywords like affordable and cheap, thinking that that will get me SEO and make me competitive. I had very slow growth for those first few years. And the clients that I was getting were not quality clients. And it reached a point where I felt like I wasn't being paid enough to make it worth my time to get out of bed and open a file. So something had to change. So I first came across Mark at around 2017. I started to subscribe to his email newsletter. I used to attend his free monthly webinars. I will catch his YouTube videos. And I started to get a pretty good idea that value pricing was the way to go. I was leaving so much money on the table. Yes, I created packages, but I was not creating them correctly. And then I was putting my prices on the website, which I've learned since is a big no-no. So while I did a lot and I got to implement a lot of things from the free materials, it wasn't until 2019 when Mark released the How to Price Bookkeeping course that things really changed in my business very quickly. I bought the course, and because still at that time, my business was very small, so it was a big investment, I made the commitment. I've got to get my money back. So I carved the time out. That first session, it was live 90-minute sessions, so I booked it in my calendar so I could attend live, because I knew that if I didn't catch it live, it's easy to procrastinate in catching up with the recording. And I was taking notes, but I didn't stop at taking notes. I then made it a point to implement something. I am happy to report that before I finished taking the course, the changes that I made paid for the course. So that was my big wow moment of, we're up to something here. This is what I should have been doing all along. And that gave me the motivation to keep making the changes.
Well, I started my bookkeeping journey in the mid-90s. My family had a business and I was bookkeeping for that company, and that led me into other companies. So I started my own little bookkeeping business, but I knew my pricing was wrong and I needed to fix it, and I didn't know what to do. I wasn't making any money, I wasn't going anywhere, and I knew I was doing something wrong. I'd moved to cloud software, but I knew that something wasn't right. So I reached out to the Canadian Professional Bookkeeping Organization and had a few roundtable discussions with them, and they said, I'm like, what am I doing wrong? Like, I'm pulling out my hair, I'm working so many hours and I'm not getting paid. What's going on? What am I doing wrong? And they said, you're doing everything wrong. You need to talk to Mark Wisham, and you need to be a part of some different organizations. So I started doing some research and started watching all of what you had available via Facebook or YouTube, and realized that this was where I needed to be. So I quickly joined your Value Pricing Academy and then made some changes, took some action, and now I've tripled my revenue in 6 months. Not even 6 months. I tripled it in overnight. It was an amazing feeling now that I actually have some money to be able to invest in my company, invest in myself. So I've just became limited, and it's just still me, but I've got lots more to learn. So I'm still in your academy, and I'm going to do some more business advisory, but I need to get my packages organized, and that's my first number one of what I need to do. I think that we are so conscious of pricing, and I was scared to charge too much. That's when I joined the Canadian Professional Bookkeeping Organization and got a hold of you, and I'm so grateful. Well, I went into your effective pricing, and I went to the bookkeeping special module and put all the parameters in there and came up with a price for each individual client that I have. And I spoke to my clients and said, I gave them forewarning, your prices are going to increase and I'm worth it. And they were all, yep, you're worth it. We know it. We've been underpaying. And yeah, you're not going anywhere. You're going to stick with me. So some of them I tripled, some of them I doubled. Yeah, so it's been really, really good for me.
Well, we are based in north central Arizona, and our practice is called Fit Books. It's just Michael and I, my husband and I, that run it here at home. I met you in 2016, I think, at a QB Connect. Started with the BPA in, I think, January. Oh my goodness, that was the hourly rate issue. I mean, the better the technology got, the less money I was going to make. So I had to raise my rates. And then the clients could see everything, you know, why are you raising your rates? And it was very frustrating. We face with losing income because we were getting faster and with the technology, but having to pay for the technology to do it. Making our lives easier was going to make us less money. Well, that doesn't work. So I was looking to do fixed pricing. I think when I came to the QB Connect and heard you speak, then I said, there's a system and I need that. It really made the difference. It made it so much less stressful for me to get that confidence built up just through watching the videos and attending, because during that time you had some repricing webinars that I went ahead and attended those again. And just sometimes you need to do things more than once. I mean, it was a huge win for me emotionally and relationally with the clients and financially. It was huge to be able to get through that. But overall, this last, 4 years, it's made a big difference for us time-wise because we don't have to have as many clients. We know better what kind of clients we want to have, what kind of work we want to do. Not having to keep track of the time, that's wonderful. I mean, it's wonderful to be free of the time clock.
Going round and around, back around. I will fight like no other every day. I won't stop like the others. I will stay. 'Cause now is the right time. And I'm feeling alright. I'm playing your game like I know I can win right now. You got me on tonight. 'Cause loving you is like I'm walking a tightrope so high. I won't be turning around. No, I won't be turning around. 'Cause you feeling alright. I'm playing your game like I will win tonight. Don't forget it. Don't forget it. Don't forget it. We'll turn this around. Don't forget it. Don't forget it. Don't forget it. We'll turn this around.
Hey, welcome. Welcome to the conference, the Profitable Bookkeeping Conference. We are live, ready to go. We actually formally start in 5 minutes, but as many of you know, I just thought I'd welcome you and see who's here. Now, at the moment, This is going to go crazy wrong, I think, because I have 633 things open on my screens right now. I have so many different versions of chat all over the place. So let's just get one cleared off. Hi there, Bill Robinson. So Bill, awesome person, comes to loads of sessions. He put it in the Q&A box because we hadn't enabled the chat at the time. Okay, so I've dealt with that one. Great to see you, Bill. We also have, I've got my lobby chat here. I've got my webinar chat. So let's see who is actually in the webinar right now. I know the lobby went mad earlier with people chatting away. Some people I know very well and some fresh new faces, which is awesome. So we have from Murfreesboro, David Bennett. Great to see you, David. David, one of our Value Pricing Academy members who comes to pretty much every single session. So good to see you, David. We have, and Bill Robinson's from Houston, Texas. Kenzie Wright is here. Hi there, Kenzie. Says, thank you for the opportunity. I'm excited to dig in. Awesome. Heather Gates is here from Clyde in NC. That I think is North Carolina, if I've got that right. Nat's here from the UK. We have Sarah Campbell from East Tennessee is here. We have Shamash, I hope I pronounced that right, from Ontario. Lorraine Brown is here from the UK. We have Anita is here from Ohio in the US. Amy from Maryland. Where are my Canadian friends? There's always loads from Canada. We have Michael McClellan from Alaska, although he's in Texas now, sometimes in Anchorage. We have, did I say Amy already from Maryland? I'm sure I've seen that already. Okay, Tara Lynn is here from Canada. Great, we've got the first person from Canada, from the Northwest Territories. Shailene is here from Florida. Hi there, great to see you. How are we doing for time, by the way? We've got 3 minutes and we'll get started. We have as well, where did I get to? I'm lost. Hayden. Hayden was next. Hi there, Hayden from the US. We have Angela is here from Austria. Awesome. We've got someone from Austria. Any other countries that we haven't mentioned so far? Austria, definitely. Lynn, James is here. Hi there, Lynn. Great to see you again. I think I've said hello to Kenzie already, but Kenzie's from Lancaster in Pennsylvania. Rhonda Chavez says, happy day from Arcadia. And we have Eleanor Casey. Hi there, Eleanor. Good to see you again. We have Kenzie Wright is loving the chat box, I think. Woohoo! I love that. We also have, and apologies if I've not shouted out to you if you're actually in the lobby right now, but I do recommend you come into the Zoom room. There are breakout sessions later where, for reasons I'll explain later, you might want to be watching from the lobby, but you might as well be in the Zoom room, partly because that's the only way I can answer your questions, as we'll explain later. Where did I get to? Denise is here from Ottawa. Yui is here. I hope I pronounced that right. Heather Fagan's here from Pennsylvania. Jennifer Mock is here. Sophie Hucker. I need to hurry up. There's loads of people here. Hirsch is here from UK. Not sure if Hirsch is the name of the company or surname or first name. Not sure, but welcome, Hirsch. Leah Berger's here. Hi there, Leah. Great to see you. We have Jessica Fox, and we'll meet Jessica later. In fact, you may have seen her because she was on one of the stories on the countdown video, if you were here right at the start. Rosa is here. Is that Rosa or Rosa? Rosa from California. Kaiser is here from Mississauga in Canada. Mississauga. We've had this before, haven't we, Kaiser? I always forget how to pronounce that place. Connie Sparks is here. Hi there, Connie, also from Canada. Kelly's here from Georgia. We're going to be starting inside the next 60 seconds, 20 seconds even. So let me do a few more shout outs. Cordula's here from Germany. We've been chatting, I think, on LinkedIn, so great to see you. We have Holly Murray from Missouri, Denise from Canada, Brian Wright. Hi there, Brian. Good to see you again. Susie's here from California, Vicky from Canada. Jay Shri from Dubai. Okay, great. We've got Dubai. We've got Austria. We've got Germany. We've got Sharon from Dallas. We've got Yasir from the UK. Oh, I'm not going to get through everybody because there are loads. I must say hello to Carol Kostachuk though. Hi there, Carol. Hope you're doing well. Loads of other people here. Loads. I'll never get through everybody. We need to start. It's on the hour, and so let's get started. We are here. We are live, and we're going to be spending 3 days together learning about how to make bookkeeping more profitable. Why bookkeeping, by the way? Why bookkeeping? We could have talked about anything for this conference, but what I found is that certainly for the bookkeepers are here, many bookkeepers here, it's the core thing that you do. But also, I'm an accountant myself, a chartered accountant. With accountants, increasingly accountants now that we're on the cloud are also getting more involved in bookkeeping as well. And I find that whether it's accountants or bookkeepers, bookkeeping is one of the hardest things to price and make profitable. And we'll look at why we're going to be looking at how to make bookkeeping more profitable, how to price more effectively. Now, I've said hello to lots of people. Oh, I've seen Vipul's here from India. Awesome, another country. There are a few countries that I wasn't able to mention because, so as you probably gathered already, we're using Zoom events. And if you came to any of our 2022 conferences, we used a different platform. It was a great platform. People loved it. We thought this year we'll have a go with Zoom events because everybody's familiar with Zoom. It's going to be easy, we thought. And then little did we know, because they don't tell you this up front until you've paid them a lot of money, is that for Zoom events, some countries cannot register on Zoom. So we had a number of people who aren't able to be here, including South Africa for some strange reason. And we have lots of people in our academy from South Africa. So what we did is we didn't want anyone to miss out from those countries. So we gave them a special link to a live stream. So there are a handful of people on the live stream as well. So I just want to say hello to you if you're on the live stream. And if you are on the live stream, which is on YouTube, and you type into the comments, I will see your comments. So you can participate if you're from one of those countries that couldn't get into Zoom. It's nothing we could do about it. It's a Zoom issue. For some reason, they block certain countries with Zoom events. I have no idea why. Anyway, let's get into the conference, and I thought I'd start off with, just very quickly, because this came into my Facebook group yesterday. I love hearing about people doing amazing things and getting great results, and later on I'll ask you about the results that you're getting. But I got in our Facebook group, I think we posted on yesterday, my daughter Gabby posted what's been working for you recently. And Wendy Steenan, who came to a recent conference last year, said, I started with value pricing. It was an intense process, but it worked. A few clients left, but those were the ones I expected. One client I'm sad about, but I made the decision and stuck with it. I raised my prices with a total of 40%. Wow, congratulations. And new customers now pay me a much better price. So was it worth it? Hell yes. Even when I know I still can learn more. But as I said, it's a process, and I'll try to keep learning. It gave me and my business a big boost for the future. Thanks for the guidance and making it finally clear for me. I thought I'd kickstart with that, partly because it came into my Facebook group yesterday, but partly a couple of things that I thought. So Wendy took the bull by the horns and put her prices up, but not by 5, 10, 15%, 40%. And she only lost a few clients, the ones that she expected, just one she was sad about. So I was very impressed with that. But she also knows that she can still learn more, because this is a journey. This is a journey. And I know that I've got many people here who I've been working with for many years, and they still keep telling me that they're still learning, they're still getting better results all the time. You'll never be perfect with pricing straight away. I'm still learning pricing. I started my pricing journey back in 1999 when I was running my accounting firm, and I'm still learning stuff about pricing. So let's start with, so I thought I'd start with that because I thought it was just inspirational. And thank you if you're here, Wendy. Thank you for sharing that on the Facebook group yesterday. So just a few admin issues to get them out of the way quickly. Some of you, if you may have attended the session that Emily did, the orientation session, but just in case you didn't, just a couple of things about the platform. So we're on Zoom events, and you've probably seen the lobby area already. The lobby looks like this, and you can watch sessions from the lobby if you're on the lobby tab, and I'll tell you a little bit in a second why you might want to do that later. Across the top, of course, is the menu, so you can go from the lobby, you can go to see what sessions are running, you can sort out your, see who the speakers are, sort out your itinerary, your agenda, and so on. So Emily went through that in detail earlier, but just want to remind you. The two things I really want to mention, though, number one is you can chat in the lobby, and you can, and some people are now, I think. Just bear in mind that depending on who the speaker is, they might not necessarily be monitoring the lobby chat while they're presenting. In my case, I've got Q&A open, Q&A tab. I've got a webinar chat open. I've got for those people that are on the live stream, and I've got the lobby chat open. So if I get distracted, it's just because I've got so many different people chatting at me. So please do use the lobby chat. But if you do want to your chat to be definitely seen by the person speaking, or you want a question, then you are better off in the Zoom room. However, an exception to that is you will find that at the end of each of our the days we have together, we have some breakout sessions. I'll talk about them later. You've got some options, some choices. They are Zoom meeting rooms. Now, the Zoom meeting, you can choose whichever one you want to go to, but there is a maximum limit for each Zoom meeting room. It's 100. It's 100. But please don't despair, you will not miss out, because what happens is if you're not one of the first 100 into a breakout session, then on the lobby, you will see when there's different sessions running concurrently at the same time, the breakout sessions, you will see on the, I put a big circle, a big red square there. You'll be able to see, you can scroll through the sessions running live, and you can then click the one you want and it will play, just like you might have seen Emily if you were in the lobby watching. I was watching Emily from the lobby. So the lobby is open to everybody at any point in time. For the main stage sessions, you're better off being in the webinar, because you've got, I will see you in the chat and the Q&A. But for the breakout sessions, they're limited to 100. They are Zoom meetings with 100 maximum capacity. If you can't get in, watch from the lobby. So you won't miss out. You won't miss out anything at all. And you can chat away with the lobby chat as well. Right. Was there anything else I want to tell you about the logistics of the platform? No, I think that makes sense, but my team's here to help you out. So please ask if you've got any questions. Okay, next thing to let you know, if you've not done so already, we have got a conference guide, which we sent you by a link by email. You can also download it from the lobby, but also I'll get my team to put the link into the chat box. The conference guide has a number of things that you'll find useful. Partly it has the orientation. So if you missed Emily's session, you want to know how to use the platform, that's in the conference guide. You will also see the schedule for the 3 days and the times. You will also be able to learn more about the sessions taking place on the main stage. You'll be able to learn about the breakout sessions as well. You can learn more about the speakers. So that's in the conference guide. That's everything about what's happening over these 3 days. The second thing that you'll want to make sure you've got, if you haven't already, we sent an email out, but again, we'll put it in we'll put a link for you, is you'll want the conference workbook. Now, this is to accompany my sessions. I have 2 today, 2 tomorrow, 2 on Thursday, and this is a great place for you to keep your notes. It's a PDF, you don't have to print it out. My daughter Gabby designed it so that you can fill in the boxes. You can keep your notes in there. You can fill in the boxes, and there's also some other great material that will support what I'm talking about during these 3 days. So that's the conference workbook. They're the 2 things you'll want to download. Okay, let me just tell you a little bit about how the 3 days will unfold. So we've already had the orientation, which Emily did. She did an amazing job. I was watching myself. I need to learn how to use the platform because that's pretty important. So we're going to have most of the conference will take place in the main stage on this webinar platform where I think everybody is right now. But we have broken it down into each day. You'll get 3 hours of training each day. And we've broken it down into sessions of 45 minutes. So that gives you time to go for a comfort break, get a refreshment break, whatever in between. So we break it down into sessions. So there'll be 3 45-minute sessions concurrently as webinars, and then each of the days will end with a 45 minutes where there'll be a choice, the breakout sessions, and then there'll be Zoom meetings. You'll access them in the same place from the lobby. So today I'll be talking about I'll be talking about some of the foundation issues, some of the problems of pricing bookkeeping, and I'll be talking about this idea of packages, probably after the break. And then we also have an amazing guest speaker. If you don't know her, Teresa Slack is an extraordinary bookkeeper doing amazing things. People love her message. She's going to be sharing some powerful stuff later on. And then we'll go into the breakout sessions for today. You have a choice of 3 sessions. You can either learn some more from Teresa. She's running a panel session with some other successful bookkeepers. You have Emily. If you want to learn more about marketing, Emily will be teaching marketing in the breakout session. And another option is if you want to learn more about e-commerce, then Ellen's got a breakout session. More details are in the conference guide of what those sessions are. Bianca says, love Teresa. Yes, we all do. She's amazing. Now, the next two, the times, and by the way, all the times are in UK time and Eastern Standard Time, which is, for those who don't know, that's the East Coast of America. So hopefully you can work out from there what the times are. They're the same for each day. We kick off tomorrow and Thursday, whilst we kick off here at the same time on the hour, whatever time it is for you now. 11 minutes ago is when we start. I always start a bit early with a countdown timer and then welcome people, and then we start officially on the hour. But we actually start before that. We're going to be running a panel session. The panel sessions on Wednesday, Thursdays are an opportunity for you to learn more from the various guest speakers during the course of the conference and ask them questions. We have some amazing guest speakers, and I'm not sure which ones are attending which of the 2 days of the panel sessions, but it'll be your opportunity to get some further insights. And if you've got any questions for any of the speakers, which will be Teresa, Kim, Jessica, Neil, Emily, then you'll have an opportunity to ask some questions in those sessions. So look out for those. And then you will also notice, you may notice that on Thursday, there's an exclusive session with me at the end called the Welcome Celebration. I'll tell you more about that later. Okay, next thing I want to mention is one of the things that we do is we want to help make the world a better place. Those of you in my academy know all about this. And what we do is we make a contribution to a project somewhere around the world where people are in need. Our chosen project for this conference is to help with education, literacy, business skills for women in, I think it's Uganda, if I remember right, in Africa, where it can change their life. These are people that don't have the same privileges as us. So as a thank you for you being here and learning, you're also helping somebody else with their business education, women in Uganda. And we just tossed up the numbers, I think, yesterday. They may go up a little bit further, but as a thank you to every single person who's registered for the conference, we have contributed, collectively, all of us have provided 7,210 days of literacy and business training for women in, yes, it is Uganda. I got that right. Those numbers may go up. I'm not sure what the final total of registrations are, but thank you for helping to make the world a better place. I also want to thank we have a sponsor for the conference, and that is A2X. They are a leading e-commerce accounting app. And if you have no idea who A2X is, I've heard amazing things about them, and they are doing one of the breakout sessions later. So if you are into e-commerce, want to learn more about their accounting app, they are doing a session at the end of today that you can catch. Okay, next very quick thing is let me just introduce the team that have made this event happen, that will support you. There's firstly my partner, Sarah. Sarah's actually with me in another room here in Portugal. Those, if you don't know, we live in Portugal. Sarah and I do. And Sarah's the person that just makes everything happen. She's the one that will help you if you have any emails. You can email Sarah if you people who are struggling to get into the conference, for example. So she'll be checking emails, and also she'll be helping out in these sessions. Then some of you have met Emily already. Emily is our head of marketing. She's a marketing genius. We're going to be running some breakout sessions on marketing during the course of the conference if you want to learn more about marketing. And also she's helping out in the sessions as well. So if you have technical problems and so on, you could perhaps reach out to Sarah or Emily, or the other member of our team is Gabby, my daughter. You can tell by the surname. Gabby is also part of our marketing and content creation team, but she is also here as well, supporting you and helping you. So if you've got any issues, technical issues, whatever, the three of them are here to help you as best they can. Okay. Oh, I know. So I've just seen a question from David Delve. I'm not sure if I'm able to answer this, but it did remind me of one more thing. So if someone in my team could check out he had a technical issue with the lobby. But just one thing that I noticed is that you might, from time to time in the lobby, might need to refresh your browser. So in other words, I opened mine up ages ago, and I wanted to see Emily's orientation session and nothing was happening. I hit the browser refresh and suddenly she was there talking. So just, that's a little tip. If something's not responding, if you're not seeing a session come up in the lobby, it may be simply a case of refreshing your browser. Okay, before we get started, a couple of other things that I just want to mention. Firstly, as some of you know, this today, tomorrow, during the course of this conference is going to be an opportunity for you to take your learning to a deeper level, an opportunity to enroll in a bigger program, to enroll in the Bookkeepers Pricing Academy. I know we have some people here who have been waiting eagerly for this to happen because it's been closed for 12 months. We last opened up enrollments at the Profitable Bookkeeping Conference 2022, which was a year ago, last February. And so this is the first time we've opened it for 12 months. We are opening up enrollments for people who want to be part of the community and learn more about pricing, particularly pricing bookkeeping work, but other things as well. I will tell you more about that later in the conference. Tomorrow, in one of the sessions tomorrow, I'll tell you a little bit more about the Academy and how that's going to help you build a more profitable business. Now, of course, I do know we have a lot of Academy members here because I've seen them. So what would be great is if you are an Academy member, what sort of results are you getting? What's the Academy done for you? What sort of results? How's it working for you? Let me know in the chat box, in the webinar chat box, and I will have a look at those later, the comments as they come through. So how's the Academy working for you? What results are you getting? What's it doing? Now, the Academy, I teach frameworks. I teach you things that have worked for me when I ran my accounting firm many years ago and have worked for the thousands of accountants I've now helped around the world. Since the year 2000, it's now 23 years I've been working with and teaching accountants how to price more effectively and how to build a more profitable accounting firm. And these frameworks work, and I know they work because I get stories every single week coming in of people saying the results they've got. The frameworks work, but you have to work the frameworks. You have to take action. There is no magic button you can just press and it's going to solve your problems. There's no magic button you can press that's going to suddenly build an amazing accounting firm. You have to work the process. You have to follow the frameworks. And many of you know, one of the questions I ask, a rhetorical question at the start of every conference, is there's typically two types of people that come to webinars and training sessions. There are those people that listen and take notes, which is a great thing to do. They're the note takers. But then there's the action takers. It's all very well coming along to events and taking notes, but unless you do something with what you learn, nothing's going to change, nothing's going to get better. We have to take action. And you are going to meet some amazing action takers who just keep learning and keep doing stuff. So my rhetorical question for you is, are you a note taker or are you an action taker? Are you here just to learn and to take notes? Or are you here because you want a better life, a better business? Are you going to take action? And what I encourage you to do at the end of every single day, the 3 days, is write down at least one thing that you're going to go away and do different. And perhaps at the end of the day, we'll ask you what that one thing might be as a result of today. Even if you just did one thing, it'll make a difference. So are you a note taker or are you an action taker? I can see lots of comments in the chat box. I'll perhaps have a look at those in a short while, but perhaps you might want to read them if you can see them. Another question that we've had a lot is people asking about recordings. Are the recordings available? And the answer to that is no, we're not making the recordings available. You need to be here live. Now, having said that, we will be recording the sessions, and anybody in the Academy will automatically get the recordings. We'll be uploading those into our Academy site so you can access those. If you want to join the Academy during the course of these 3 days, you will get access to the recordings. So But better just to be here live. Be here live because when you're here live, you can comment, as many of you are. You can also ask questions, and there might be some bonuses when you come along. Perhaps a bit more on that later. Now, on the subject of questions, the best way to ask questions in the main sessions is to use the Q&A. Use the Q&A because, as you can see from the chat box, it goes crazy mad, and I can't always keep up with what's going on in the chat box. So always use the Q&A in the main stage sessions. On the breakout sessions, I believe it's only the chat box. I could be wrong on that, I'm not sure. But if you ask a question in the chat box, and the same in the lobby, and you want the speaker to see your question, please put 2 capital Qs in front. QQ and then your question. Those of you that come to my sessions regularly will know that process. And the reason for that is because it then just helps it to jump out in the chat box, because I haven't got time to read all the stuff in the chat right now. It's gone absolutely crazy. And we'll never get through any content if I just read the chat box. So I will be skimming occasionally looking for questions, but the best place is to put the question in the Q&A box, then I will see it. And also, if you do have a question, try to keep it short, because if you have questions that are 5 or 6 sentences long, it's difficult for the speaker to be able to really properly absorb that question. So Sophie Hucker has asked a question in the chat box and put the 2 QQs in. So that's how you ask a question. But she did put it in the Q&A as well. She says, I am part of the Bookkeeping Pricing Academy. How do I access I think that's the recordings? Sarah's going to answer that. Obviously, you can't get them now because we've not done them yet. We're still doing them live. But when the recordings are done, we will get them to you. We'll let you know as soon as they're available. So don't worry, if you're in the academy, you will get told where and how to get the recordings. It'll be early next week, we'll tell you. Right, if you have no idea who I am, perhaps maybe some people here and if you've never seen me before, if you are completely new, just type into the chat box newbie or new, just so I know who's never seen me before. I'd be interested. There's a lot of familiar names, but there are some people I don't know, like Virginia, Kenzie. So great to meet you, Kenzie. I know lots of people who have not seen me before. Virginia, Kenzie, Laurie, Hannah, Shari Lynn, Karen, Candice, Liz, Elizabeth, Amber, Vipul, Joel, Sharon, Shana, Catherine, Katie, it's just going forever, Tonya, and many, many more. I can't get through all of you. Welcome to the conference. So a little bit about me. I'm an accountant. I've been in the profession since 1988. So that's a long time now. Yeah, I am that old. It's over 30 years. And I started my own accounting firm in 1996. I had no clients. I just had a spare bedroom. I bought a computer and a desk and started looking for clients. And I grew very fast. I seemed to do something right from a marketing point of view. I grew fast. I moved out of the bedroom into my first office after 2 months. It was 1st of July, 1996. I hired 3 people. Over the next 2 years, I grew from nothing to over 200 clients. I moved into bigger premises after 15 months. And I think 3 years later, had about a team of there was 13 of us. And if you were from the outside looking in, you might have thought I was a successful accountant building a great accounting business. The reality was so far from that. By the end of 1998, my life was a mess. I was just working crazy long hours, crazy hard, and really struggling to make ends meet. I was just making enough money to meet the payroll, to pay everybody that worked for me. It was really, really hard. And I just assumed that's just what you had to go through, the pain you had to go through to build a business. I kept thinking, it'll get better. It'll work out sometime. But it didn't. Until 1999, when I started to discover a few things. And I first discovered value pricing at the end of 1999, when I first met Ron Baker, who's now one of my dear friends, and he's one of my heroes, my mentor. He was the person who first explained value pricing to me back in 1999. Up until then, I believed that in our profession, you had to keep timesheets, you had to log hours, you had to bill based on the hour. And it was only when Ron explained value pricing to me in 1999 that this light bulb went on. And I thought, that's a much better way of pricing. And so I started changing the way I price straight away and immediately got results. The first thing that I started repricing, it was a piece of tax planning thing I did regularly. And the thing that I did, which we'll talk about later on today, in the context of bookkeeping, I managed to increase my average price by nearly 4 times by making 2 really simple changes. And that enabled me to turn my firm around from a mess to something that was profitable. And I then sold it a few years later to my client manager. Steve and Jonathan bought the firm off me. Still right today. I believe it's still called Wickersham's, somewhere in the middle of the UK near Sheffield. I then started speaking and teaching other accountants. From 2000, I was invited to speak at a conference in front of hundreds of accountants, talking about what I'd learned and what I was doing different. And I've been talking to teaching the profession for the last 20, this is year 23 now. 23 years. I am the author of a number of books on value pricing. My first book was Effective Pricing for Accountants. I wrote How to Build a Successful Bookkeeping Business. And my most recent book is over here, Value Pricing for Accounting Professionals, published last year. And I also run the Value Pricing Academy and the Bookkeepers Pricing Academy. I work with hundreds of accountants around the world, accountants and bookkeepers around the world, helping them to build more profitable businesses, focusing on value pricing, but also how we can create more value for our clients and how we can win with marketing and grow our firms. So I've got a question for you, although we've got a great group of people here who are typing away in the chat box, so I won't be able to read many of these, but I will get my team to put them in a document for me for later. I'd love to know, what is your biggest challenge when it comes to pricing bookkeeping services? What is your biggest challenge? What do you struggle with? Put that in the chat box. I'm going to read them during the break later and see what your challenges are. But yeah, please put them in there. Tell me what is your biggest challenges. And Nat's the first to go with confidence. Okay, confidence. That's one we're going to deal with, Nat, later on today. So we will, because that's critically important. So confidence we'll definitely look at. But scope creep from Teresa, well, she knows that we'll look at that. Will we look at that? We might look at that. Yeah, a few people have said that. Yeah, I'm going to make a note. I'm going to get my team to make a note of the challenges because I'm going to cover as many as I can during these 3 days. So let's start with what are the biggest problems with pricing bookkeeping work? And if you've got the workbook and you're working through, I'm going to work through this on the screen so you can write your numbers, your answers in. And some of these will have come up in the chat box. I think there's 10 big problems that we have when we are pricing bookkeeping. And the first problem that we have with bookkeeping is it's seen as low value. That's a big one. And there's 2 aspects to this. Firstly, it's very often seen as low value by business owners, by our clients. They sometimes see it as just data entry, and therefore, why are you charging that price? You are just entering invoices. It's seen as low value. You and I know it's much more than that. It's so valuable and so critically important to have the books and records accurate. There's a legal obligation from the tax man wants to see accurate records with properly disclosed income, for example. It has to be done right. It's a skilled job. It's hugely valuable. So part of our challenge is we have to get our clients to see it as being valuable. And we're going to talk about on day 3, we're going to talk about some issues around communication. How do we communicate the value so that people see it as valuable and are willing to pay higher prices? But the second aspect of this is it's not just our clients, but also very often we don't see the value of bookkeeping. I think there's a big issue here with many accounting professionals, bookkeepers particularly, who undervalue themselves. And whilst I know that through some of the research I've done, I'll share in a short while. We need to recognize the value that we create with bookkeeping work. And some of that stems from confidence, which Nat said. So we'll come on to confidence in a short while. Next thing is, obviously, cheap competitors is always a big problem. And as you will soon see when I share some research, is there are a lot of people charging crazy low prices for bookkeeping work. And so that creates a problem for us. How do we compete with the lower price people? And perhaps we might talk about that during the course of the conference. Another one is, and it's a consequence of these two things, because we perhaps don't see it as being valuable, or our clients don't, and the cheap competitors, we price too low. And that's a big problem in our profession. We are pricing way too low. And this goes across all the services, but particularly bookkeeping. The next big problem is the hourly mindset trap. And what I mean by this is, I grew up in the profession believing that we had to price based on the hour, and I really struggled. And there's a lot of problems with pricing based on the hour. And I don't want to go into all the problems right now because there are so many. I remember Ron Baker's first book I read in the 1990s, in 1999, and he listed 13 big problems with time-based billing. And there's been a few more I've come up with since then. We shouldn't be pricing based on the hour. But one of the reasons why we mustn't quote hourly rates is because if you give somebody an hourly rate, they'll almost always say to you, oh, that's expensive. And that's because an hourly rate, because it feels expensive because people aren't buying hours from you. They're not buying time. They don't see any value in an hour of your time. An hourly rate will always feel expensive. People are buying results, they're buying outcomes, they're buying your knowledge, they're buying a solution, they're buying value, and we have to price based on that value because that's what they want. They don't want to buy an hour of time. We have to stop pricing based on the hour, and we'll talk about exactly how you do that tomorrow. Confidence is a big problem. Nat mentioned it, a few other people mentioned confidence. We'll talk about that in a short while. Another problem is a lack of knowledge. How do we price bookkeeping work? And many people just don't know. And it's not your fault because it's not something we're taught. When I did my professional exams back in the late 80s, early 90s, I was taught the technical work as a qualified chartered accountant. I was taught how to do taxes and audits and financial statements, but nobody ever taught me how to price accounting services. Nobody teaches us. We're left to figure out on our own. But fortunately, you're here for these 3 days, so you're going to learn some stuff. You're going to gain a lot of knowledge. Another issue, and a few people said scope creep, but a link to that is the uncertainty of scope. The fact that if we were selling cups of coffee, it's a lot easier. If you're running a business like Starbucks, then you know pretty much what is the cost to create a cup of coffee. But with bookkeeping, every client is different. We have big clients, small clients, clients with great books and records, clients with terrible records. They're all different. And that has an impact on how long it's going to take to do the work. And therefore, because of all that uncertainty, we often end up resorting back to the pricing based on the hour because it's simple. It's just not the right way to do it. And so linked to that is the big problem is, well, how do we calculate a price then? How do I give a client a price up front, knowing with confidence that it's going to make me a profit, it's going to give me money, make me money? And we're going to look at calculating price tomorrow. We're going to go deep on that. Another problem is increasingly now people are hearing of this idea of we need to offer packages, which is extremely powerful. We're going to talk about that today after the break. But I then hear people saying to me, but how do I do that? How do I create effective packages for my bookkeeping services? So we're going to look at that today. And then another big problem is we need to move to value pricing. We should be pricing based on value, not based on hours, as I've just said. And so the next problem is, well, how do we do that? How do we move our clients to value pricing? And we're going to look at that during the course of these 3 days. So a lot of problems in the profession. That's why we're spending at this conference 3 days on how to price bookkeeping services, because it's a big, big challenge. And of course, all those problems have consequences. As a result of that, we usually find that we are either working crazy long hours, working too hard, or we're not making enough money, and usually a combination of those things. We're working crazy hard and still struggling to make ends meet. That was me back in 1998. because I was pricing wrong. I didn't know how to price. But it goes beyond that. Another consequence is if we're pricing wrong and if we're pricing based on the hour, we'll get complaints from customers. Perhaps you've had that. I used to always, in the early days of my accounting firm, when I didn't know what I was doing, I'd get people say to me, Mark, why on earth have you billed that? That can't be possibly right. And so that's a big problem. If we don't give a fixed price up front, we are opening ourselves up to complaints, people paying us slowly. And then, of course, another issue is unexpected work. And scope creep came up in the chat box, a few people. That's a big issue. The great news is, though, despite all that complexity, that difficulty, that challenge, is there's a huge opportunity for you. And I shared with you the story from Wendy that she posted yesterday. You perhaps saw some earlier. I've not had a chance to read them, by the way, but I will read some of the stories from Academy members who have shared some of the results they're getting. The great news is you can change that. And all those challenges you've got, you can change that. And just like Wendy, who's increased her prices by 40% and only lost a handful of clients, you can do the same. And I'm going to share with you a couple of stories. You'll hear from other people during the conference, particularly in some of the panel sessions in the breakouts. You'll hear some great stories of people. I might share this story more on day 3, but this is a lady called Jane Aylwin, extraordinary bookkeeper. I started working with her in 2015, and she told me a story which, if we have time on Thursday, I have a 5-minute video, which is insightful because she shares some tips on how she got some amazing results. The amazing results she got is she changed the way she priced in 2015, and she went to visit 4 of her existing clients in 1 week. And in that 1 week, she followed the process, the framework I shared with her. She followed the framework to the letter, and with the first client she met, she doubled the price. Doubled the price without doing anything different in terms of the work she did. And the next 2 she visited, she doubled the price. And I think it was the 4th one she quadrupled. And as she explained in the video, she explained to me when I interviewed her that's me in 2016, by the way. And if you're not sure, Jane's the one on the right, just so we're clear on that. So when I interviewed her, she explained how she did that, what she did. And essentially, I don't want to give the whole story away, but she said that the key to it was better communication. Building up the value. How do we get people to see the value of bookkeeping? So we're going to look at that on Thursday because that's, I think, the most important piece of the puzzle. It's the communication skills. It's how do we build up the value? And if we get a chance, I'll share 5 minutes of that video with Jane where she explains some of the things that she did to get extraordinary results. A couple of other stories I just wanted to share with you as well from people that you will meet during this conference. 2 other stories. I got this a couple of years ago now from Jessica. She's here. I saw Jessica. Jessica shared with me how when she started on this journey with me and learned, she started off with my bookkeeping course. She bought my How to Price Bookkeeping course, which we don't sell anymore. We now give it away as part of the Bookkeepers Pricing Academy. But she originally bought the course. Then she joined the Bookkeepers Pricing Academy, I think. And then she joined the Value Pricing Academy shortly after. And she said, she posted, I think it was 2 years ago, Jessica, I purchased the course. At the end of 2019, my net income had grown by 67%. And then in the following year, it went up another 98.75%. And Jessica's running an amazing business. You're going to hear more about her she's doing one of the sessions on day 3. So you'll definitely want to hear Jessica. She's an extraordinary bookkeeper from Florida. And one of the things I love about Jessica is, as well as people love listening to her, the other thing that I think is fascinating is she's building an amazing business. But Jessica is somebody who's, for her, work-life balance is extremely important. Her family is extremely important, quite rightly so. And so she's very selective. She doesn't want to build a huge business. She wants to build a business that makes a nice income, but also with work-life balance and family. And she was saying, I think, I may get this wrong, Jessica, I'm sure you'll correct me on Thursday, but she said, I think in one of our Academy sessions last week in the chat box, that she's choosy on who she takes on. People want to work with her. She has a waiting list. And I think she said her waiting list is over 100 people want to work with her. And so she can choose who she takes on. Wouldn't that be a great position to be in? You're going to learn more from Jessica on Thursday. And the other story I thought I'd share just quickly was This wonderful lady from Canada, Kim Lafayette, she sent a story again a couple of years ago, but she uses a piece of software. You'll learn more about that tomorrow. You'll also meet Kim tomorrow. She's our guest speaker tomorrow, so she's going to share some of this stuff in more detail, what she did, how she did it. But one of the stories she told me was she used a pricing process that you'll learn about tomorrow, and she got a 154% increase from what she would have charged using her old pricing methods. Not 5 or 10% increase, 154%. But she also went on to say that her price is a whopping 902% increase from what the previous bookkeeper was charging. And I share that with you for a very important reason. People mistakenly think very often in business, including accountants and bookkeepers, is that if we keep our prices low, we'll win more business. And actually the reality is that when you focus on quality and being better, you will win better quality clients and they will choose you, not the cheap accountants and bookkeepers. If you want to win the best businesses, you have to be the best and have prices that reflect that. And I've had many stories of people who have won clients when even though they were much more expensive, 900% more expensive in Kim's case. You'll hear more about that tomorrow. I want to share with you very quickly some research. I did a study back, this was a few years back. Emily and I did the research. We studied and surveyed 2,683 accounting professionals because we wanted to find out how much people price for bookkeeping services. I just want to share with you just a handful of the findings of that report because there were some fascinating things that came out of the study. So one of those we found, we looked at different countries. So this is from the US, people in the US in that survey. Out of the 2,700, some were from the US, Canada, UK, and many other places. Some of those people in the survey charged based on hourly rates. Not everybody, but some on hourly rates. So we asked, what is the hourly rate that you charge for bookkeeping services? So this is in US dollars. I'm going to tell you in a little while how you can get the research yourself and you can look at it in different countries. But in US dollars, and what this chart is saying, it's the quartiles. What this is saying is that the left-hand number, 25, somebody in the survey was charging just $25 an hour. Now, that wasn't the very lowest because for statistical reasons, we omitted the bottom 3% of data because of anomalies, and the same with the top percent. So just getting rid of the anomalies, $25 an hour. Some people are crazy cheap with bookkeeping. The next number is the first quartile. So in other words, 25% of people, a quarter of people, charge between 25 and 50. The middle one is the average, or if you like, the median. $75 is the average when we did the survey. And the top one was $175. So we learn a few things from this. The first thing we learned from this is that some people are crazy cheap, $25 an hour. But I think the single biggest learning from this data is just the sheer spread of prices. So this is in the US, but it was the same in Canada, same in the UK, same in the rest of the world. The difference in price between the cheapest and the most expensive is not just 5, 10, 15%. In this case, it's sevenfold. In other words, there is no such thing as a market price for bookkeeping services. When people say to me, I can't charge more, that's the going rate for bookkeeping in my area. No, it's not. Because if there was a market price, if there was a going rate, we'd all be charging pretty much the same price. But it ranges here from 25 to 175. Some people have found a better way of pricing. And that's what we're going to look at over these 3 days. Another interesting finding was that I asked, how do people price? And what I found was that the most common way of pricing is hourly rates, as you would expect. But interestingly, a lot of people are moving to fixed pricing, which is interesting. And then a few people use menu pricing, we'll talk about that, and value pricing. But the predominant way of pricing in the profession is still hourly rates. Some other things we found in the survey, so just to summarize, so huge range of prices. Some people are crazy cheap. There's been a huge shift towards fixed pricing from hourly. Still, most people are hourly, but fixed pricing is gathering real momentum. Interestingly, if you are in the US, when we looked at the different countries, firms in the US get slightly better results than other countries. Okay, the US were actually the better with pricing, even though they're crazy low in that survey. They're still better than the other countries, and that's interesting. We also found that firms that specialize, we asked this question, we looked at those people that specialize and those people that are general practitioners, and we found those that specialize get better prices by over 35%, which reinforced what we all really know is that you need to have a niche. We may hear about that later on. Interestingly as well, we found that the firms in the bottom quartile were much, much more likely to be pricing based on the hour. The firms making the most money at the top quartile were more likely to be using value pricing. Value pricing gets you better results. Okay, if you'd like a free copy of that, we're going to go to a break in a second. If you'd like a completely free copy of that research report, it's 92 pages, then I'm going to tell you about how you can get a free copy of that later on today. So watch out, I'll tell you. We normally sell that, by the way, for $97, but we're going to be giving away as a bonus free copies. So just wait for that. I'll tell you in a short while how you can get your free copy. So we're about to go for a break for 14 minutes. We'll be on the hour. I'm going to leave the room open for 60 seconds so I can read some of the comments. But what I'd also love to know is, if you are having success with the pricing, and if you haven't typed already, just put in the chat box, what is your biggest pricing success? And again, we'll look at over the break, I'll be reading the responses, because sharing success is a great way to inspire other people. So if you are getting pricing successes, please share them in the chat box or in the lobby if you want, if we've closed down. I'm going to play out with some music for about 60 seconds, just so I can read the chat box, and then we'll close down this particular webinar, and we'll be back again in 14 minutes. So now's a good time to go and have a refreshment break, whatever. In 14 minutes, I'll be back. I might be back a little bit early. I usually am. And we'll be talking about how to create packages. We'll talk about confidence as well. So we've got a lot to cover in the second session. See you all very soon.
I've been waiting all my life for someone like you. I would watch the days go by, wasted and blue. I was out of you.